I used to think my sister and I were close. Not the kind of close where we told each other every little secret, but the kind of close where I thought, at the very least, she had my back. I believed she was my biggest supporter, even if we had our fights, even if she sometimes got more attention than me. But that was before one small slip-up changed everything. One mistake. One sentence that revealed exactly what she really thought of me, and what others in my family secretly thought too. My sister's name is Rachel, and ever since we were kids, she's been the golden child. You know the type. Straight A's in school, star of the soccer team. Every teacher loved her, every relative bragged about her. And then, there was me. I was just Emily, the younger one, the quiet one, the artsy one, the one people looked at and said, "Oh, Rachel's sister? Right, we know her." It wasn't that I didn't try. I did. But no matter how hard I worked, it always felt like Rachel was 2 steps ahead. She got the spotlight, and I got the leftovers. Our parents never said it outright, but it was obvious. Rachel could do no wrong. If she forgot to do the dishes, it was because she was busy studying. If I forgot, it was because I was lazy. When Rachel stayed out late, it was, "She's responsible, we trust her." When I stayed out late, it was, "Why are you being reckless?" And as much as it stung, I got used to it. I told myself, it's fine. That's just how families are. Every family has a favorite. But deep down, it hurt. It made me wonder if anyone in my family really saw me for who I was, or if I'd always just be Rachel's little sister. Despite everything, Rachel and I did share good moments. She'd help me pick out outfits before school dances. I'd listen to her vent about her crushes. Sometimes we'd even stay up late, watching cheesy rom-coms and eating popcorn, laughing until we cried. Those moments gave me hope. Hope that, beneath the competition and favoritism, she actually cared about me. Hope that maybe, when it came down to it, she'd defend me, stand by me, be my sister. I held on to that hope like it was a lifeline, because when you grow up feeling invisible, even small scraps of love feel like enough. Still, there were cracks. Sometimes, in the middle of a conversation, Rachel would roll her eyes at something I said, like I was stupid. Other times, she'd interrupt me in front of friends, cutting me off, making me feel small. I brushed it off. That's just how sisters are, I told myself. But deep down, I was starting to wonder. Did she actually like me? Or was I just someone she tolerated? I didn't have to wonder for long. Because one day, Rachel made a mistake. A slip-up that pulled the curtain back on what she really thought of me. And once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. That moment would change the way I looked at her, at my family, and at myself forever. Because here's the thing. Rachel's slip-up wasn't some random one-time event. It was the result of years and years of small jabs, subtle dismissals, and me constantly living in her shadow. School was where the favoritism felt the loudest. Rachel was practically a celebrity. Teachers adored her. Friends swarmed her. Even strangers seemed to like her immediately. Meanwhile, I felt invisible. I loved art. I loved writing. I loved creating things. But nobody cared about that. At least, not in the same way they cared about Rachel scoring the winning goal at her soccer match. At parent-teacher conferences, my teachers would politely say, "Emily's very creative." But when Rachel's turn came, it was, "Rachel is exceptional. She's leadership material. She's going places." Do you know how it feels to sit there, listening to your parents beam with pride at her, and then barely nod at you, like you don't even exist? We had a trophy case in our living room. Well, technically, it was Rachel's trophy case. Soccer trophies, debate medals, academic awards, a shelf filled with gleaming proof of her excellence. My stuff, my paintings, my short stories, the things I poured my soul into, they lived in a dusty folder under my bed. Nobody ever asked to see them. Nobody ever put them on display. And every time I walked past that shiny trophy case, it reminded me, Rachel shines. You don't. What made it worse was how Rachel sometimes weaponized it. If I got a B on a test, she'd smirk and say, "Don't worry, Mom and Dad don't expect you to get A's like me." If I wore an outfit she didn't like, she'd laugh and say, "That's brave." I'd never wear that. It was always disguised as jokes. But those jokes left scars, because I started to believe them. I started to believe that maybe I was just the lesser sister. Family gatherings were the worst. At every holiday dinner, relatives would swarm Rachel. "Oh, Rachel, tell us about your latest award. Rachel, you must be making your parents so proud." And then, like an afterthought, someone would turn to me and ask, "So, Emily, how's school?" Or worse, "Still doing your little drawings?" Little drawings, like my passion, my art, my creativity. Everything that gave my life meaning was just a hobby that didn't matter. I'd smile politely, but inside I felt like I was drowning. Slowly, it started to change the way I saw myself. I stopped putting my art out there. I stopped raising my hand in class. I stopped believing I could ever be more than Rachel's less talented sister, because when you hear the same message over and over, "You're not enough, you'll never be enough," you start to believe it. Even if nobody says it outright, the silence, the comparisons, the favoritism, it's enough to crush you. Now, don't get me wrong, Rachel wasn't a villain 24/7. Sometimes she'd cheer me up. Sometimes she'd defend me against our cousins. Sometimes she'd give me advice about boys or school. Those moments were like sunshine after rain. They made me think, see? She really does care. She's my sister. But then, just as quickly, she'd turn around and mock me in front of her friends, or dismiss my achievements as cute. It was like living on a roller coaster, never knowing if she was going to lift me up or tear me down. The first real slip didn't come from a voice note. It came from a group chat. One evening, I borrowed Rachel's laptop to submit a school assignment. Her messages popped up in the corner of the screen. I wasn't trying to snoop, I swear. But then I saw my name. She was texting her friend. "Ugh, Emily is so dramatic. She thinks she's an artist or something, but really she's just wasting her time. Honestly, I don't know how my parents put up with her." My chest tightened. She'd never said those words to my face, but reading them, it was like being punched in the stomach. That was the first time I realized, maybe those little jokes weren't jokes at all. Maybe that's really how she saw me. After that, I couldn't unhear the undertones in everything she said. When she laughed at my outfits, when she dismissed my friends, when she made comments about how some people are just naturally successful while looking right at me. It all added up. And the worst part? I never confronted her. I never said, "Rachel, why would you say that?" Because deep down, I was scared. Scared she'd confirm what I already feared, that I really was a disappointment. But eventually, Rachel slipped up in a way she couldn't take back. It wasn't a text this time. It wasn't a joke in front of friends. It was something bigger. Something raw. Something that revealed exactly what she and, painfully, what others in my family really thought of me. And when it happened, I couldn't pretend anymore. I couldn't brush it off as a joke. I couldn't hide behind excuses. The truth was out, and it broke me. It happened on an ordinary Friday night. Rachel and I were both home, me in my room sketching, her in the living room on the phone with her friends. I wasn't paying much attention. I had my headphones on, music low, pencils scattered around me. Then my phone buzzed. It was a voice message from Rachel. For a second, I was confused. Why would she send me a voice note when she was literally in the next room? But curiosity got the better of me. I pressed play. And what I heard made my stomach drop. Rachel's voice came through, laughing. Then another girl's voice, probably one of her best friends. And then Rachel said it. Emily? Ugh, don't even get me started. She's honestly pathetic. Always in her room, wasting time with those stupid drawings. Like, she really thinks she's gonna be someone? Please. My parents don't say it, but we all know she's just nothing special. She's embarrassing, honestly. The girls laughed at me. At me. I sat frozen, phone trembling in my hand. Pathetic. Nothing special. Embarrassing. The words kept echoing, stabbing me over and over. And then it hit me. She hadn't meant to send that voice note to me. It was meant for her friend. Rachel had just slipped up. And I was holding undeniable proof of what she really thought of me. My chest felt tight, like I couldn't breathe. I replayed it. Twice. Not because I wanted to, but because I couldn't believe it. This was my sister. The girl I looked up to. The girl I defended in front of our cousins. The girl I thought, deep down, loved me. And here she was, casually tearing me apart like I was some joke. It wasn't just what she said. It was the way she said it. So easy. So natural. Like she'd said it before. Like it was normal. That hurt the most. My body moved before my brain caught up. I stormed into the living room, phone in hand. Rachel was still lounging on the couch, smiling at whatever her friends were saying. Really, Rachel? I snapped. She looked up, startled. What? I hit play. The voice note filled the room, her words echoing back at her, sharp and undeniable. Her smile vanished. Her face went pale. Emily, she started. No, don't even. I cut her off, voice shaking. Pathetic? Nothing special? Embarrassing? That's what you think of me? Her mouth opened and closed like she was scrambling for an excuse. I didn't mean… Yes, you did, I hissed. Don't lie. That's what you really think. That's what you've always thought, isn't it? Silence. And that silence told me everything I needed to know. Of course, the shouting drew my parents in. What's going on? My dad asked, frowning. I turned to them, tears burning in my eyes. Ask Rachel. Ask her what she just called me? My mom looked between us, confused. Rachel? Rachel shifted uncomfortably, arms crossed. It was a joke. She's overreacting. A joke? My voice cracked. You call me pathetic and embarrassing and send it to your friends? That's not a joke, Rachel. That's who you are. My dad sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. Girls, come on. No, Dad, I shouted. You don't get it. This isn't just about one voice note. This is years. Years of being ignored, compared, treated like I don't matter. And now I have proof that even Rachel thinks I'm nothing. The room went quiet. Uncomfortably quiet. Rachel tried again. Emily, I didn't mean it like that. I was just venting. Venting? I laughed bitterly, tears sliding down my face. If that's what you say when you're venting, then what do you say when you're being honest? She had no answer, and in that silence, everything I'd feared for years solidified into truth. I wasn't paranoid. I wasn't dramatic. I wasn't imagining the favoritism. They really did think less of me. I locked myself in my room after that. Rachel knocked once, maybe twice, but I didn't answer. I couldn't. Because every time I closed my eyes, I heard her words again. Pathetic, embarrassing, nothing special. And no matter how many times I told myself not to believe it, part of me did. Because it wasn't just Rachel's slip-up. It was confirmation of everything I'd felt my whole life. The next morning, the house felt heavier than usual. I barely slept. My pillow was still damp from crying. When I finally walked into the kitchen, Rachel was already there, sitting stiffly at the counter with a mug of coffee. She looked up at me. Emily? She started softly. But I couldn't even look at her. I grabbed a glass of water, my hands shaking, and turned my back. Because the second I looked at her, I'd hear it again. Her voice. Her laughter. Those words. Pathetic. Embarrassing. Nothing special. Of course, my parents weren't going to let the silence last long. My mom cleared her throat. Emily, honey, sit down. Let's talk about this talk. Right. As if one little talk could fix years of damage. But I sat down anyway. Rachel shifted uncomfortably. She looked small, which was rare for her. Usually she was the confident one, the center of the room. Now she looked like a child caught doing something terrible. Emily, she said, I swear I didn't mean it. I was just joking around with my friends. I didn't think. That's the problem. I cut her off sharply. You didn't think. Because that's how you actually feel. Jokes come from somewhere, Rachel. And this one came from you seeing me as pathetic. Her face crumpled for a second, then hardened. You're twisting my words. I let out a bitter laugh. I literally played the recording for you. How am I twisting anything? The argument escalated quickly. Rachel, you're too sensitive. Me, you're cruel. Rachel, you don't get it, it was just venting. Me, no, Rachel, I do get it. You've been venting about me my whole life. Finally, I snapped. You've always done this. Belittled me, mocked me, made me feel like nothing. And I took it, because I thought deep down you still loved me. But now I know the truth. Her eyes flashed. The truth is, you blow everything out of proportion. No wonder people think you're dramatic. That word again, dramatic. The one she used in her texts, the one she probably used with her friends. I felt my heart shatter all over again. My dad finally slammed his hand on the table. Enough. Both of you. But instead of supporting me, instead of acknowledging my pain, he looked at me with frustration. Emily, you can't take everything Rachel says so seriously. She was just being careless. That's all he thought it was. My mom chimed in, her voice soft but dismissive. You know your sister loves you. She didn't mean it. I stared at them, disbelief flooding me. Did you even hear what she said? Do you ever hear me? Or are you too busy protecting Rachel again? The silence that followed was deafening. Because we all knew the answer. After that, I stopped talking to them. Rachel avoided me like the plague, and I avoided her too. When we passed each other in the hallway, we didn't even make eye contact. My parents pretended everything was fine. They'd make small talk at dinner, change the subject if tension bubbled up. But nothing was fine, because once you've heard the truth, you can't unhear it. One night, about a week later, Rachel finally cornered me in my room. Emily, please, she said, her voice cracking. I messed up. I didn't mean it. I swear I don't think you're pathetic. I looked her dead in the eyes. Yes, you do. You've always thought that. You just finally said it out loud. Her face crumbled. Tears filled her eyes. For once, she didn't have a comeback. Why do you hate me so much? I whispered. I don't hate you, she said quickly. I don't know. I get jealous sometimes. You're different. And I cut her off. Don't. Don't try to make this about jealousy. You had everything. You had the spotlight. You had mom and dad's approval. And all I wanted was for my sister to see me, to respect me. But you couldn't even give me that. Her tears spilled over. I'm sorry, she whispered. But it was too late. In that moment, something inside me shifted. For so long I'd begged, silently, desperately, for her approval. I thought if Rachel liked me, if she respected me, then maybe I'd finally feel worthy. But now, I realized her opinion wasn't worth chasing. If my sister could look at me, her own flesh and blood, and call me pathetic, then the problem wasn't me. It was her. From then on, I stopped trying to repair things. I stopped waiting for an apology that would never be enough. I focused on myself, on my art, on building a life where I didn't need her validation. And slowly, I started to realize, maybe Rachel's slip-up wasn't just the end of something. Maybe it was the beginning. the beginning of me finally finding my voice. For weeks after the confrontation, the house felt like a war zone, not with yelling or slammed doors. No, it was the silence. Rachel avoided me, my parents tiptoed around me, and I retreated into myself. But for the first time in my life, that silence wasn't crushing. It was freeing. Because I wasn't spending my energy trying to please Rachel anymore. I wasn't twisting myself into knots, hoping my parents would finally look at me and see something worth praising. For once, I was just me. With the noise gone, I went back to my art. At first, it was messy, angry strokes of paint, sharp, jagged lines in my sketchbook. It felt like I was bleeding onto the page. But then, something shifted. The more I created, the more I felt alive. Like every brushstroke was stitching me back together. Like every sketch was proof that I wasn't pathetic, that I had something inside me worth sharing. One day, I posted one of my drawings online, just for fun. Within hours, strangers commented, "This is beautiful. Wow, you're so talented." And for the first time, I realized I didn't need Rachel's approval, or anyone else's in my family. I could find my own audience, my own worth. Eventually, my parents tried to have another talk. My mom sat me down at the kitchen table. "Emily, sweetheart, we don't want this tension in the house anymore. Can't you and Rachel move past this?" I looked her straight in the eye. "Move past it? Mom, do you understand what it feels like to hear your own sister call you pathetic? To know that's how she's seen me all along?" My dad sighed. "She made a mistake." "No," I said firmly. "She revealed the truth." And you know what hurts the most? Not just what she said, but how quick you both were to defend her instead of me. The silence that followed told me everything. They didn't have an answer, because deep down, they knew I was right. After that, I stopped expecting my family to change. I stopped waiting for Rachel to wake up one morning and suddenly see me as her equal. I stopped hoping my parents would treat us the same. Instead, I focused on building my own strength. I applied to an art program I'd been too scared to try for before. I shared more of my work online. I connected with people who actually valued me for me. And slowly, piece by piece, I built a world where I wasn't Rachel's little sister. I was just Emily, and that was enough. Rachel did apologize again, eventually, but by then I'd stopped needing it. She stood at my door one night, eyes red, voice trembling. "I really am sorry. I was stupid. I didn't mean to hurt you." I nodded. "I know." But inside, I understood. Her apology wouldn't erase the years. It wouldn't erase the slip-up. And that was okay. Because closure doesn't come from someone else's words. It comes from deciding you don't need them anymore. Sometimes I wonder if Rachel realizes how much she hurt me. Sometimes I wonder if my parents will ever admit their favoritism. But the truth is, it doesn't matter anymore. What matters is that I finally stopped letting their voices drown out my own. What matters is that I finally found the courage to stand tall, even when the people closest to me tried to cut me down. If you're listening to this, and you've ever felt like the lesser sibling, the invisible one, the one who's always compared and never enough, please hear me. You are not your sister's opinion. You are not your parents' favoritism. You are not the cruel jokes whispered behind your back. You are you, and that's enough. Rachel's slip-up broke me, but it also freed me, because sometimes, when the mask slips, the truth hurts. But it also gives you the power to finally stop living in lies. And now, I may still be Rachel's sister, but more importantly, I'm Emily. And I'm finally proud of that.